Like you mentioned, I'm Christopher Morgan. I'll be joined in a minute by my colleague, Martin Palacios. And welcome to the British Columbia ServiceNow user group. It's been great so far. Really what I want to talk about first is why do we even need a store to deliver services to the business? So we know this expression, good, fast, cheap, pick any two. Ever heard that before? We use this when we talk about delivering services to the business. If they want it good and fast, it's not going to be cheap. If you want it good and cheap, it's going to take a while. And if you wanted it fast and cheap, let's be honest, you'd probably be at the Sharewell user group, not here. It's a joke. But these are real world constraints that dictate what we as IT professionals are realistically able to deliver. And it's these constraints that we've been faced with forever. And it's because of these constraints, it makes it really, really hard for us to do our jobs. It's like they took away one of our arms and one of our legs and asked us to win a canoe race. And it's us, unfortunately, that get the bulk of these complaints from the rest of the business. They say IT isn't fast enough, IT is a huge cost center, and our IT isn't meeting our needs. You've heard it, I've heard it. And this has been going on for years. And the bottom line was the business did not think that we in IT were any good. And we looked like losers, like L7 weenies. It's not good. So we wanted to mature, we wanted to get better. So we went out, we bought the best stuff, and we spent our time trying to make it play nice together. We did our research, we talked to Gartner, we did vendor interviews, we Googled, and we came up with the technical solutions that delivered services to the business. The problem we had now was that it might have been good and the business might have been slightly happier, but it wasn't cheap. And with all the RFPs and selection committees and approval chains, it certainly wasn't fast. And for us, it wasn't easy to have this approach to systems architecture. We had to deal with contracting and legal and the security guys. And we were expected to learn all these new systems. And with each new system we introduced, there was more things to break. And we had to train our users on these new systems. And we had to protect our users from all those things breaking on all those different systems. But then we got ServiceNow. They brought the cake over. It was great. And we knew we could finally deliver to the business the user experience that they wanted within budget and within our capabilities. And we knew that ServiceNow was going to be the foundation of our digital enterprise. And the tool had so much power, we were able to consolidate and automate and get rid of other tools. We configured the heck out of it and built new stuff, and it was good. And we started building more stuff and more stuff. And we were trying to manage update sets, and we lost a couple update sets. And then it turns out that our original implementation partner modified a business role on the task table, so we couldn't upgrade to Dublin, so we needed more integration. And so while we found ourselves worlds ahead of where we had been with this new tool, we started seeing the same issues that we thought we had just fixed. And we went back to square one. I think it was here that we reminded ourselves that building is the easy part. It's the support and the maintenance and the documentation and the training around what we build, that's the hard part. And we reminded ourselves why we didn't want to build and manage our own enterprise apps years ago when we were just trying to be good. But then we found Share. There was new hope. We can now manage updates, share update sets with our peers, cohorts, so we could get the advantage of custom applications. These are applications that didn't exist out of the box, but they let us leverage our investment in ServiceNow, provide additional services to the business. And this was an important thought process that many people came to at that time, and that's the notion that it's better to get, not build. The first words you see on the Share homepage are, why start your app from scratch? I think you alluded to that earlier. Frankly, this was the tipping point in ServiceNow adopting this APaaS strategy, this application platform as a service strategy, and pivoting towards this concept of enterprise platform apps. So we went along with the pivot, we started using Share, and what we learned is that Share apps are cheap and fast, but maybe not good. And let me define good. I know that a couple of you have apps out there on Share, and remember, our role in IT is to deliver services to the enterprise to support the business mission, that whole service-first mentality we heard earlier today. Any citizen developer could post an amazing app, and there's a lot of amazing apps on Share. Nobody documented them. Nobody supported them. Nobody really QA'd them. Nobody was solving IT's real problems. That part is not good. it also turned out that they weren't really that fast. Last week, the average time of the last update in the custom app category is 576 days. That's over a year and a half. I did the math for you. That's not fast. So the question is, how do we offer our enterprises the power and extensibility of this amazing ServiceNow platform while avoiding repeating the previous challenges that we saw? The answer is now. There's a second option, the store. This is what it looks like outside an instance. In a minute, Martin's going to show you how it works within an instance. But what this gives us are two great ways to rapidly expand our platform. You had share, and now you have the store. And with the store, we get a couple key benefits. First, it's a second mechanism to get, not build, which is an important concept. Remember, we want the act of delivering services to be good, fast, and cheap. Building apps for yourself or finding other apps it gets you two. Scoped applications can get you all three. And these are key advantages of the store. The first is just the concept of expanding on this platform with enterprise business apps. These apps have managed upgrades behind them. So vendors push an upgrade and your administrator can opt whether or not to install that upgrade or not. There's an official certification process, and that really boils down to security. So with every app that goes on store, ServiceNow reviews it to make sure that it meets the standards and that it doesn't break something else in the platform. So as the private namespace capability that we didn't have with some share apps and we have with the store. So that prevents an app from breaking something somewhere else in the platform. It also lets you remove an app should you want to without leaving behind any relics. There's platform version support. That means that if an app is designed for Geneva, it won't let you install it on Fiji to risk that version incompatibility, and that's great. You can still customize. I mean, do you remember the old Remedy or HP days on how hard it was to change some of these things? You inherit all the configurabilities of ServiceNow even in these custom apps. So you want to add a custom field, it's a right click away. Centralized procurement, for anyone doing the paperwork side of the IT shop here, it's on ServiceNow Paper. You click to buy. There's no salespeople involved. Some people might be upset with that, but makes it very easy to do. And what I think is critical is the vendor support. You've got a chest to poke and support and documentation that comes along with it with each of these apps here. And with both share and with the store, this concept of enterprise platform apps and building on ServiceNow gets you a lot of really great things. I think the first is you're able to leverage your investment. You don't need to go out and get another tool. You already have ServiceNow, and you can build upon it and make it even better. You only have a single code base to support. That's both in terms of ServiceNow as managing as a cloud platform, but it's also in terms of the individual apps you might want to install as they go through different personas in the business. Maybe you introduce mobile functionality to the portals or different facets and devices there. You can meet the user expectations with both. Your users are already familiar with ServiceNow. They like it, they know the UI, they know the user experience. It's already been adopted by the enterprise. There's security and data protection, so you're able to piggyback on ServiceNow's security and piggyback on the centralized credentials. This is critical right now for any mobility because we don't really want private corporate data floating out over the internet unsecured onto employees' private BYOD devices. You get immediate value. You can literally buy these apps with one click. The mechanisms all happen behind the scenes and they install immediately, as we'll see in a second. And because pricing is completely exposed and transparent, you're able to stay on budget, know exactly what you're getting, how much it's going to cost, and what you need to do to make it successful. And what that gets you at the end of the day in IT when you're delivering these services to your business is achieving delivery that really is good, fast, and cheap. That's our philosophy, at least. We're Stave. So we're the first company 100% dedicated to building enterprise business apps on the ServiceNow platform. That's all we do. We're software only, so we're not an integrator, we're not a professional services organization, nor are we a sales partner. And our apps are available exclusively through the ServiceNow Store because we see the huge advantage with this marketplace. And we can get into some more details at the event later this evening about how the ServiceNow Store is better than IBM's Bluemix and Force.com and some of the other APaaS capabilities out there. If you'd like this presentation, share with your colleagues, share to your boss, send to the CIO. Please go to this URL, staveapps.com/bcsnug, and be able to download it. And with that, I'm going to hand over the presentation to Martin Palacios, who's going to go through a demo of how these apps get downloaded.
Perfect, thank you. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to start off showing one of our instances, walk through a bit of a use case as to why we would go to the store, and then I'll give you a quick run through of the store, and finally I'll show you how the application is installed and configured in our instance. Perfect. So a couple days ago, Chris came up to me and said, hey, do we have an app where I can keep track of all the ServiceNow events? And by events, I mean knowledge, all the snugs, right? Things that he might be interested in attending. So I went ahead and created a custom application in one of our instances. I called it ServiceNow Events. Very straightforward application, one table. We have the title of the event, description, location, start and end date. That's all the information he needed. So this was great. But then he came up and said, well, how can I get this on my phone? I want this to show up right on my calendar. How can I do that? So that's where I can say, okay, well, let me start doing some research. I can go ahead and build a custom solution for that. Or why not go to the store? So here's the ServiceNow Store. So first thing you do when you get to the store, I'm going to scroll all the way to the top. We see some feature applications. Those get refreshed every time you load the store. And also you can see all the apps. Right now we have 151 of them. If you have an idea of what you're looking for, you can always use the search function, or you can start sorting things out by category. We can also sort by industry, by release. And also pricing. You can see there's free and paid applications. And we can also search for integrations. There's a lot of vendors that have integrations with ServiceNow that offer their applications for free through the store. So one of the applications I'm going to select is Stave Calendars. So if I hover over, I can see a brief description of the application, and then I can click to view more. Some of the things you'll see, we have a buy button. So if I made my decision, I can go ahead and buy it right away, or I can also try it. So this will allow me to install the application in a non-production instance for a period of 30 days. Also, we can see pricing information, we can see compatibility, and we can contact the seller, or we can view the seller profile. So in this case, we can learn a bit more about Stave Inc. and see some of the other applications that we have published. In terms of the actual information that you see here and the try option, that's optional for each application. Some technology partners might decide not to offer trials or to hide the price from the store, so at that point you would have to contact them for more information. For Stave, we offer tries for everything, and we show the pricing on all of our apps. It's part of our philosophy. In terms of pricing, you'll see different models based on the applications. This one right now, it's a per month model, so that's per production instance. But you also see some applications that have a per user model. And once again, that's depending on the app, depending on the partner. Some of the types of applications you might find in the store, you might find standalone applications that bring in brand new functionality to the platform, or you might find utilities like this one, which is Stave Calendars, which is going to let you leverage the platform and get some more functionality out of it. So the process right now would be for me to try it or buy it, and then I can go through this process because I don't have any instances that are not vendor instances, but basically you would be asked to log in, and if you click try, it would come up with a list of your actual instances assigned to your high user, and then you select which one you want the application installed on. After that point, that doesn't complete the installation, that just gives you an entitlement for it. So then I could go back to my instance, search for applications, under System Applications. Here you'll see I'll get 3 options. So I have 3 tabs. I have Develop, Downloads, and Updates. Develop right now is showing all the applications that I have developed in this instance. If I go to Downloads, these are all the applications I'm entitled to download. So for your case, it would be all the applications you have purchased or you have asked for a try. And updates will show any applications that I have installed that have updates available. So in this case, I would go to downloads and there's save calendars. Right here, I get two options. I can install, or in this case, I can install with demo data. I'm just going to do a clean install of the app. One thing to know while this gets installed, applications can be uninstalled. It's not like plugins that once they turn them on, they're on forever. So an application can be removed. And when you uninstall it, you actually get the option if you want to retain your data for the application. So we could uninstall the application, but we can leave the tables and data behind. So if you still need it for reporting purposes. So save calendars, it's now installed. So there's my application. So I'm just going to do a quick demo of the app. Just going to set up a calendar and show how it's going to show up on my phone, or in this case in my Apple Calendar. So here I would click New. So I'm going to give a name for this calendar. Loading ServiceNow Events. So then I can select the table. So lots of tables. So one of the nice things you can see, the app works with all out-of-box tables, but also all new tables that you have created. So in this case, I have my ServiceNow event table. I'm going to select the field to use as my start time for the event. I'm going to select my end time. And now I'll have an event name definition. So what do I want to show up for the event name? So in this case, we're going to do the title. And for description, we're going to do just the description in this case. So now we're going to submit. So my calendar record is now complete. So we have a scheduled job that runs, we have it set up to run at midnight. Our users can select how often that runs. So in this case, I'm going to manually run it so we can see the calendar working. So we're going to execute. And now we're just going to wait a few seconds for there's going to be a knowledge base article that's going to show up here. The other thing I can see when I open the record, now I have a calendar URL. So you can actually use that URL to share this calendar with everyone in your organization. And the key thing behind this, there's no authentication required out of box. So that's why we give you full control of what information you're going to display. So if you have any private information, anything confidential, you can make sure those fields are not showing up. So there it is. Now you can see I have a knowledge base number in there. So that means the job finished running. So I'm going to grab this URL. And now I'm going to go to my calendar application. Make this bigger. And we're going to add a new calendar subscription. We enter that URL. And there you go, recognize it as a valid calendar. So now I can select if I wanted to auto refresh. So by doing that, my calendar will stay up to date. So I'm going to auto refresh every 5 minutes. So there it is. As you can see, we have some events coming in. All right, so we have the British Columbia user group. Some coming up in the following days. And if I move over, I can see Montreal. And all the way, if we go into May, we'll be able to see Knowledge 16. And that's about it. So this shows how we achieved a solution by building some custom code. We did a bit of the application ourselves, and then we went onto the store and find a utility that we can use to help us get to the end result that we want. So that's it in terms of the demonstration. I don't know if you guys have any questions. Dale.
Are these these applications certified while they're listed on the store?
Yeah, so no applications can show up in the store before they're certified. Also, in order to publish to the store, you need to become a technology partner. So we go through a process to become a partner, and then we go, typically an application takes, right now it's taking between 1 and 2 months to get it certified. And that's for one version. If we wanted that, right now we're going through Geneva certification from a lot of our applications, and we go through a expedited process because the application has been certified already, but we still need to show that the application works with the new release, and that gives us the ability to select that checkbox to show that it's right now available for Geneva or any upcoming releases. Did I answer your question? Perfect. Any other questions? Yes.
How does this affect licensing?
So depending on each application, I'll take state calendars as an example. State calendars would only be available for admins to configure. So if you want someone else to be able to configure, you would need to get an additional admin license. Some other applications, which are on a per user licensing model, you also need to check dependencies because some applications might be dependent on other ServiceNow modules. So then you would need to get the ServiceNow license plus the application licensing on top of that. So it's once again, it depends on the application, and always check for dependencies. Any other questions? Also, feel free to visit the store, look up Stave or any of the other partners that have applications there. Like I say, great things are being posted from utilities to standalone apps. So you might not be able to find the solution that gives 100% of what you're looking for, but if you can get to 90% and then just build the remaining, I think it's a great start.